What's up, everybody? Welcome. I wanted to do something a little bit different today. A couple weeks ago, I posted about cross-circle cueing, and there were a lot of questions involved in that. So here's the deal. Let's talk about cross-circle cueing and what that means. One of the worst things I see coaches do is this concept of empty reps. Empty reps look something like the coach is calling out go or squat or whatever the command is to get their athletes to move, and there's no feedback being given. Go, reset, go, reset, go, reset, etc. Now, if you want buy-in from your athletes, you have to provide feedback. We talk about it all the time. Your members are paying you for coaching. Every Globo gym in town these days has all the CrossFit equipment your athletes need. There's medicine balls, there's kettlebells, there's bumper plates. Every gym is a CrossFit gym. What separates your affiliate from the box or the gym down the road is your coaching staff. So I'm going to give you a great drill that you can use. This concept is really going to be used while you're teaching. So maybe you're using it during the specific warm-up, or maybe you're taking 10 or 15 minutes and you're focusing on helping your members improve their medicine ball clean, their snatch, etc. Whether you're using circles or lines doesn't really matter, and I'll show you how you can apply this concept either way. So this blue will represent members. So let's say we have 8 members in this class. It's a good sized class. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. So we have 8 members. Doesn't matter gender, doesn't even matter skill or how long they've been coming into your affiliate. Simply have 8 members. Now let's say this pink marker represents you as the coach. Here's what I want you to do. In order to really understand this concept, we also have to understand, I'm going to write it in a different color. Static and dynamic. So, static. Static represents when your athletes are standing still. Let's use the medicine ball clean. I love the medicine ball clean because there's multiple static positions. Your athletes are set up at the bottom, 2 hands on the ball. That's the static position. Now, in that static position, you have 8 members. You can technically give each and every one of those members a cue. They're in that position until you say go. So they're going to be held still until you tell them to move. Now, of course, we have to find that balance of giving out cues and not leaving your athletes in this terribly uncomfortable position. Static. Dynamic is when you say, we're using this word go, but when you use the word go. So in this movement, the medicine ball clean, when you say go, we're expecting them to move. So you're going to say go, they go through full hip extension ideally, they catch it at the bottom of their squat. Another static position. Then you're going to say stand. Hope that was clear. Med ball clean, static, and dynamic. Now, let's call this athlete number, I'm going to write it in green, athlete number 1, number 2, number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so you're going to start off, this is you, the coach, starting off next to athlete number 1. This is a drill. I don't recommend you doing this forever, but this is a great drill to get you better at this concept. This is the same thing I did when I was interning trying to get on seminar staff. So when you're standing next to athlete number 1, you're also going to be looking at athlete number 5. Here's the deal. Athlete number 5, this is first rep, gets a static cue. This is the med ball clean. So think about what that cue might look like. We're at the bottom of our squat. That might be, hey, number 5, pull the ball between your feet. Hey, number 5, show me the CrossFit Health on your shirt. Hey, number 5, look up. Hey, number 5, push your knees out. Anything there, they're getting a static cue. Now, the person you're standing next to, actually, let me add one more thing to that. they're also getting a verbal cue. Why verbal? Well, you're not next to them. You can't touch them. You could give them a visual cue, but for this purpose, I'm going to tell you go with a verbal cue, and we'll get a little more into that later. Verbal cue to athlete number 5. Now, when you say go, you need to look at one person and one person only, and that's athlete number 1. Now, here's why that's important. If you try to see everyone, you'll see no one. Eyes on athlete number 5. The number one thing we're looking for in the med ball clean, what is it? I'll give you a quick second to think about it. What are you looking for in the med ball clean? Those of you that said hip extension, ding, 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 winner. So, you're looking for hip extension, which means we have to be looking at the dynamic portion. Hip extension. Now, there's the possibility they hit a good hip extension. Hey, great job, number 1. I need you to do that again next time. More than likely, they're not going to open their hips perfectly. So here's the challenge. You're standing next to this person. You're close enough that you can touch them. You're giving them a tactile cue. Now, they didn't open their hips. Think about what a tactile cue can be. Put your hand behind their shoulders. Hey, I need you to pull your shoulders back to my hand on this next rep. Cool? Then you're going to be there for the next rep. You're going to give another cue to number 5. Go again here. Hey, great job, number 5 or number 1. You did it that time. Cool. Here's where the drill really works. You now walk over to athlete number 2. While you're at athlete number 2, think about it. Who gets the verbal cue? Number 6. Who gets the tactile cue? Tactile. Verbal. And then you have this nice little pattern. When you're standing to number 3, number 7 gets a cue. When you're standing next to number 4, number 8 gets a cue. And you're just going to make your way around this circle. This is a pattern. It may feel contrived. It is a little bit contrived, but here's what's going to happen. It's forcing you at an absolute minimum to give one verbal cue and one tactile cue per rep. My challenge to you is when you're standing here, do not move. Do not say reset until that has happened. Your gut, your heart's going to be like, this is taking forever. I need to move on. It's not taking as long as you think it is. Your athletes are not realizing what you're doing, and they want some rest. The med ball clean will smash you. So deep breath, think about what you're going to give. And don't forget, sometimes the right cue is just great job. More often than not, you're going to be able to give a verbal or a tactile cue. As you develop this skill, a few things that I can tell you. You don't always have to go tactile or verbal. In fact, the goal would be in time, the person that you're standing across from may get a visual cue, as in you show them something. In addition to that, you're going to start to see more as you look around, so you don't have to be limited to only the person across from you. Maybe when you're at number 1, number 4, number 7, get a cue. Maybe when you're at number 1, number 2, and number 8, get a cue. Big pictures, you're going to take a pause. You're going to look around. You're going to start to see different things. You're going to start to think about the cues you might give. But it's a great pattern to get started. Now, I told you I'm going to erase this. I told you can also do this with lines. You know, circles are not always the most ideal setup for classes. Now, I will tell you, if you can do lines, you can probably do circles. So let's say we have those same 8 people, but this time you say, okay, I want to do them in lines. So think about the advantages and disadvantages to lines. Let's call this guy athlete number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, if I'm here in the front of the room, and let's call this the front, everybody behind that can see me. However, think about it. When you're standing next to number 4, no one here can see you. They have no idea what's going on. So you may be giving the most impressive, the coolest tactile cue to athlete number 4. 6 of the 8 people have no idea what's going on. That is one of the positives of a circle versus lines. And I get it, not every box allows for that. However, what I would tell you is if you can do these lines, you can basically do what I would call a squircle. A squircle is a square, also looking like a circle. So instead of having these guys face forward, have them face in. Now all of a sudden, you basically have an oval, a rectangle, a squircle, whatever you want to call it, but more people can see one another. Same principle that we talked about. When you're standing next to number 1, they get a tactile cue. Now number 5 gets that verbal cue. When you go to 2, 6, 3, 7, 4, 8. Ultimately, all of these details that I'm laying out for you are insignificant. The point is that you're looking at multiple people per rep, and you're also developing multiple styles of cues: verbal, visual, and tactile. So I challenge you, next class, 0. Here's the challenge: 0 empty reps. How can you do that? Well, have somebody watch. Have one of your buddies watch. Maybe your friend is taking class. Maybe another coach is taking class. Hey, my goal this class is to not give any reps without providing feedback to the members. I want you to just give me a hash mark every time that happens. Maybe there'll be 4 or 5 hash marks this class. Maybe next week there'll be 2 or 3. Maybe in a couple weeks from now there'll be 0. I posted about every rep you should be giving 4 or 5 cues, and I stand by that. That's not to the same person. That's to the group. But this is a great drill, cross-circle cueing, that'll help you develop that skill. Hit me below with any questions. I'm using this e-glass for the first time, so I'd love your feedback on that as well, and feedback on this concept, whether it works for you, whether you're going to try it, or whether you've already given it a go. I hope that helps you guys. My pleasure. I'm out.